Hello, everybody. What is on yet? Okay. Right. Hi. Duni, can you do a reminder on the channel so that people that are registered will probably know we are on? Hello. You can hear me, right? Confirm you can hear me. And you can see me very well. You can. You can hear me and can see me very okay. Like I said, can we do a reminder on the channel so that the people that are supposed to join can know? Right, that's noted. Thanks for the feedback. I think we should allow somebody else aside from just the two of us to join before I start. Okay. Once we have one new person, one extra person on the call, we'll just start. Okay. They look good, by the way. Cute guy. Okay. See, I even wore our boo-boos for the webinar. We are marketing what we are selling. Oh, oh my God. I should share it on my... What am I? Share to everybody. How do I share to everybody? Because you already said that it's notifying everybody, all my followers that I'm on a live. So how else am I supposed to share? Because when I click the share option, it's saying I should share to people directly, as opposed to share to people as DMs and all of that. That's the only option to one way. Even if there's option to put it on my story, there's no option to put it on my story. So maybe you should explain what you mean by share to everybody. Should I allow you to talk? Let me add you. Let me just invite you. Let me add you so that you can see what you're saying. Hi, our bride is on the call. Hi, Ife. Oh, Ife just joined. She's one of our bride.
Okay.
The wedding is January 7th. Huh?
You can share
January.
to like those people direct DM sharing.
Okay, I get what you mean now. Okay, that's fine then. I think I can just go ahead since Ife is here. Hi, Ife. How are you doing? Um, I don't know. How do I stop sharing with you like this? Uh,
I can
you,
end.
you end. Okay, I think maybe you should do that so I can just go ahead. I was going to send you a message, but I'm like, let me wait till August before I send you a message because you said I should give it till next month. Okay, so this webinar is actually this titled Bridal Experience. The idea back of it is to, what's the word now? Okay, it's mainly for bridal assistants and say even brides and bridal assistants. So the bride is for the bride to understand why they need somebody assisting them, be it a bridal assistant or if their maid of honor is very capable, but basically for them to know why they need someone to actually assist them on the day, right? Beyond the regular, say, wedding planning care and all of that. Like we say, whilst we are managing the wedding, we are taking care of guests, we're managing budget and all of that. Who takes care of the bride, right? So that's kind of like what the webinar is supposed to speak to, right? Okay, so we have slides actually, but the slides will be shared on the channel because we are unable to share them on Instagram here. And we can also share with people subsequently. So I think we should just go ahead instead of waiting for people actually. So brides, here's what you need to know, basically, right? So when we talk about the wedding industry, we have very clear definitions for a lot of things, right? We have planners. You know what a planner do? You know who a coordinator is. You know who a decorator is. A photographer, makeup artist. Like, you know what a number of people actually do, right? So, but there's like a new role that's kind of like evolving. I think it's kind of like in the industry a lot more now, but it's probably not as properly recognized, right? And this role was battered as a result of how our what's it called our event management space as Nigerians, let me use it in the African context now, has evolved, right? So typically what a bridal assistant will do is what a maid of honor used to do, say about some years back or even decades back. But due to how the industry has evolved now, right? As much as your maid of honor is going to wait on you, you also want them to be present in moments with you. You have to do a lot of like plenty rishi ceremony. I'm going to get to its content and all of those things and all. So it then kind of like created an opening that, okay, so whilst the maid of honor is probably doing all of this, who is responsible for saying, who is paying attention, like full focus attention on, say, the bride, couple in a sense, but mostly the bride, to make sure that everything she needs is being covered and handled and all of that. And also, like I said, because of the way the industry has evolved, so the scope of the work actually now can be a lot, right? And so as to ensure that nothing slips through the crack and all of that. So that's kind of like how the role kind of developed and all of that, and which is what we're here to discuss today, right? So what exactly does a bridal assistant do? And what does the role where does the role begin and where does it end, that kind of stuff, right? So I think I will start by talking about like I said, we already kind of have an idea of who the event planner is. You know who your planner is. Your planner is the one that works with you from, say, maybe the point of onboarding them, right? But basically from like the start of your event planning, end to end, from planning to, like, say, when the event ends, when it ends, in that sense. Do you get what I'm trying to say? From planning, executing, managing of people, vendors, and all of those things, to when you close out on the event. You do like a event post debrief, that kind of stuff. That's who your event planner is, right? An event coordinator is someone that you bring in to help coordinate for the day of the event, typically, right? They manage, like, say, all the groundworks for the event execution for the day of the event and all of that. But after we're in the midst of all of these things that we are saying, the point is, an event planner and what's it called? An event planner and an event coordinator, their focal point is, say, the event, right? Of course, the couple is important because without the couple, we cannot have an event. I'm talking about a wedding in this context, right? But they manage it almost from like they manage even the couple from almost like an overview point, right? So, but there's a way that a lot can be going on with weddings sometimes, that if you're not careful as the bride and all of that, it can be very easy. It can be actually very easy that you get engrossed with, say, all the plenty activities that you actually forget to enjoy yourself. Because don't forget, even if you're having a 2 3 days event for your party, the point is it starts and ends eventually. So it means that having put in all this work back end, you've worked with you hired an event planner because you want your guests to have an amazing experience. You hired this because, do you understand all this kind of stuff? So who is responsible for making sure that you also you enjoy your day, like you were present in the moment and you have an amazing time? You have so many rich memories and all of that to speak to look back on whenever you think about the day and all of that. So basically, this like the agenda, basically, like I said today, is we're going to talk about what a bride assistant does, what are like wedding day mistakes that bride typically does not see coming, right? Preparing emotionally and practically, and then behind the scenes of, say, the wedding coordinations, and then we'll have some Q and A's and all of that. So moving on, like I think I already spoke to the first one, who a bridal assistant is. So why the planner and coordinator do the event in that sense, the bridal assistant is almost like, say, your PA, managing, responsible for your care, seeing to your needs and all of those things. In some cases, right, we have bridal assistants. Like I said, it's a role that is still evolving. what we typically have with lots of like event planning companies now that have kind of like adopted this is they have someone that stays with you all through the day, right? They're just responsible for making sure that they care for you that day, help you with holding things, doing all of those things. But it's also a role that can start as far back as whenever it is you hire maybe your coordinator or you hire your planner in that sense, right? But the way to be able to distinguish between the three outrightly is the fact that their scope of work is not the same. An event planner, coordinator focus on the event. Your bridal assistant just focuses on you. All it takes for you to be present that day, from say your outfit, your makeup, your media team, like manages say the vendors that work with you directly. Do you understand? Like say maybe event planner, there's your caterer, there's decorator, there's all of those other people, right? The bridal assistant, of course, will liaise more with like say the photographer, the videographer, your makeup artist, the person making your hair. Do you understand that stuff? The person making your hair, all of those other little details around you, right? Maybe transport for you, making sure people that have to work with you, maybe like your train, are where you need them to be at the right time. So all of those little nitty gritty and all of that, right? So where it does start is understanding the fact that the three are similar, but the scope of what they do is entirely different. That you hire one does not mean that you get all three in that sense, right? The higher one does not mean you get all three. So we need that scope to be very, very clear. So moving ahead now. So let me give like I was saying earlier, a few contests to some of the things that a bridal assistant does, like I earlier said, right? So I know I mentioned that your bridal assistant is responsible for liaising with all the vendor, or like say things that touches on you directly. So the thing is, the role of brother assistant can seem somewhat insignificant because it's just like little things now. And the makeup artist should get here this time. The clothes, they seem like very, very tiny little things, right? But I think I've learned with events that sometimes the things that go wrong, or what probably triggered the major thing that everybody's seeing that this really went wrong, it's probably like say a little thread that you forgot to tie very well at this point, a little thread that you left and just like you left hanging, then you have so many threads that now became maybe something really major and all of that. Do you understand what I'm trying to say? So I'm just going to talk about some of like things that the bridal assistant does do, right? Of course, your hair, makeup. Let me speak a little bit now. So there are quite a number of documents that bridal assistant is going to work with. One of the major ones is say like say a couple itinerary, for instance, right? So the couple itinerary, well, almost all the vendors that will work with you directly are going to be involved here. So the couple itinerary basically indicates say where the couple is expected to be at particular point in time. Do you understand? And then once it indicates that this is where they're supposed to be at this time, who are maybe the vendors that needs to be present with them in that moment for it to be executed well. Do you understand what I'm trying to say? So a particular itinerary will probably start this say indicates like say maybe when the couple is expected. Of course, it will carry um location and all of that. Maybe the different location. We are going to 10 locations, it will indicate all the 10 locations. But let me start with like say where the couple is where the bride or the couple is going to be in the morning. So what time should the bride be awake? At the time the bride is waking up, who what should happen is maybe she gets freshened up, blah blah blah. Then afterwards, then who are probably the first set of vendors that needs to work on her, right? So maybe a makeup artist or say a hairstylist, those sequence of things, right? When is the photographer, videographer expected to arrive? All of those details, it just like ties them in like that, and then from there you start seeing sequence like okay, say maybe after we wake up. Of course, most of these details is not just based off okay, I'm just getting an itinerary based on what I think should be there. It's a very generic document, right? But it can vary based on what the couple's preference is event wise, right? Of course, most people will be like, this should happen at this particular time, happen at this particular time. Typically at times, when you're doing when you're having, say, the dress up section in the morning or say in the afternoon, depending on when the event is starting, it typically happens maybe in one venue to start with. But I've also had an instance where the bride wanted to, I think they were shooting like two looks or so. She wanted to shoot one look in a location, and she was like, you want to shoot the other look in another location. I think they went to like two or three locations before they actually came to the venue. So the itinerary is going to, of course, it will carry time, realistic details about like this is happening at particular time. between so time and so time, this is where we're expected to be. And this document, of course, will be shared with all the parties involved. From like say maybe hairstylist, your maybe gele vendor if it concerns them and all of those things, your makeup artist, the people styling the couple, the people responsible for the outfits they are wearing and all of those things, the videographer, the photographer, and all of those things. I know you said that. I know thinking about it, I feel like photographer, videographer is not just for the pictures for the couple alone, because there's also the other side. But those are things that is as it pertains to say maybe the event planner or the coordinator. They should have had conversations to make sure that, of course, whilst maybe this is happening, they have an arrangement with them that caters to them being available as well to cover whatever is going on in the event venue and all of that, right? But the point is, like we're saying, the couple are at the what's it called? They are the focal point of this particular conversation, and we're talking from the lens of who a bridal assistant is supposed to be to the bride and all of those things, right? So, and another key thing, while this is also necessary, is the fact that, sorry about that, let me move to ahead. So let me talk about this other. So you said surprises nobody planned for. I think here I can give some examples that will probably drive home some of the points that I'm trying to make. So as it is with planning, right? No amount of planning eliminates the unexpected. Like I think something one of my old boss used to say is that we plan, right? But we're not planning, we're planning, we are not planning because we think nothing will come up that is contrary to what we've planned, right? But the fact that we planned, make sure that to a large extent we have most things covered. Like it helps to put everything like in plain sight for us. The fact that I've thought about this means that maybe whilst this is ongoing, if there's something going contrary to what I planned, it's easy for me to easily flag it. Or maybe whilst we're initially planning, you've already be like, okay, we would like to do this. But while you're thinking, we're like, but this thing might not go this way. If this thing does not go this way, what else can we do to mitigate it? It helps to planning helps you to identify possible risk and all of those things, right? And come up with possible mitigation ways for it, right? So that's what planning. But that you're planning does not mean that things will not still happen or things will not still come up and all of that, right? The point is you have a team on ground that they are proactively thinking about what is going on, and they are able to, like, based on the situation, make the best decision possible, such that there's no break in transmission, that kind of stuff. Do you get? So yeah, I'm talking about turning chaos into calm. So for instance, now let me use an example like media team disruption, for instance, right? So I know we have an itinerary and all of those things that we had earlier mentioned. So imagine on our itinerary we have been like, say, maybe the media team, the photographer is expected to arrive, say maybe by 7, or they're supposed to start capturing by what's it called, 7, maybe 7:15, or there's like little tweaks here and there, and maybe for reasons beyond maybe the photographer's control, maybe they arrive a little bit later, right? Another way to, of course, ways to mitigate that mostly is always that for like some events, some couple will be like, we'll hire multiple photographers, we hire maybe like 2 photographers, you have the main photographer, you have the backup kind of stuff in that kind of case. Or in other case, you have one, you have a photographer, you have your videographer, maybe you have a content creator, at least such that when something is supposed to be happening, even if the person that's supposed to handle it for reasons beyond their control, right? Because at least they will have seen these documents before the day of the event, so it's not supposed to be new to them. For reasons beyond their control, they are for reasons beyond their control, they are unable to they are able to be where they're expected to be as at when due. Because we have a plan, it's easy to us to be like, okay, if this person is not here, what can be happening whilst we are expecting so. Do you understand that kind of stuff? Such that nothing is left just hanging like that, right? Or cases where you are like, okay, so for outfits, for instance, typically for outfits, the bride or the groom, when they think about outfits, they're not just thinking about, say, the clothes itself. So there's the clothes, there's probably, say, a particular accessory that's supposed to go with it. There's a particular shoes that's supposed to go with it. Even for some couple, they tie in maybe particular memories to particular look. These are things that the bridal assistants would have been aware of before then, right? To ensure that the appropriate outfit with the appropriate accessory is packed together. So that if we are doing maybe picture capturing, right? All details are captured. We don't lose or forget anything. So it's not the case that it's afterwards. Maybe when the bride sees picture, I'm like, "Wait, I thought I said that maybe I made maybe you had like a trinket attached to maybe your veil or something that carries the picture of somebody that is very important." And I'm like, but we don't have this here. So there's going to be like pre-information about that, that okay, this outfit goes with this outfit. If you're capturing, ensure that you capture and all of that, right? And this goes where all of those kind of things, right? So then transportation as well, because that's another thing. I remember a life example, right? So that's, I guess that's a good thing about having a bride assistant, right? So I think the car that was assigned to the bride had to do something else, right? Had to do something else, and the bride's change of outfits was actually in the car. So in, and it was almost, well, the result of the fact that, like, I think the chief bridesmaids was the one with the bride and all of those things, and everybody was trying, they were trying to, like, maybe they were already late for the joining. So as the time they got there, they just wanted to get out of the car like quickly so that they are not holding things up and all of that. Do you understand? But imagine for a case that at least there's a bride, you know, that I cannot leave the load in the car. Like, somebody else is responsible. It's not just, the hospice is not just on the chief bride, because chief bride may have to grab your dress, I have to follow you, then you're also saying that I have to carry box and all of that. The car will come back for it later, and you probably can't even come until the ceremony is over, that kind of stuff. So all of those like little things here and there. And then say maybe a car is supposed to pick, okay, so if this guy is not available, who is the next best person I'm supposed to talk to, so that we can have a car that we can use, because things do happen in that sense. Of course, the car should be assigned to maybe the groom and the bride and should not move around, but just in case he has to, what are the best next alternative, or who is my talking point for me to get? It should not be a concern of the bride that okay, my car is not here. She does not even need to know about it, that kind of stuff, right? So that amongst other things, like, so beforehand, of course, by the time we're going through maybe like the plan with the bride, how she's probably thinking about particular things, blah blah blah, and all of that, it's very easy for you as a bride, as a bride assistant, to flag that, okay, this I think this might be an issue down the line. So if this is what we want to do, if this is not available as when we want to do it, what should we do in its place? Do you understand that kind of stuff? So having those things in place, it does go a long way. So moving ahead now. So the other part is, yeah, reading the room before it needs reading. So with weddings or with any event generally, dynamics can be very interesting. Of course, on the day of the on the day of the event or the wedding, in this sense, the brother and sister, it's not just that. Of course, the bride will probably be overwhelmed, or she's probably over hyper, personality variances and all of that. But there's also like different nuances that might come to place. There could be family dynamics that is funny, that I don't want this person to be here when I'm there. All sorts of very interesting things do happen. Of course, she might not have told you everything. The bride might not have told the bridal assistant all of these things ahead of time. But there's also the part that as a bridal assistant, you have to be very intuitive and be able to read rooms. Anything that is going to bring in energy that might help this, that might kind of destabilize your bride on that day, as much as possible, you try to shield that from it. Of course, you're not a magician, and like I would like to say, you're not a therapist in that sense. You're not supposed to notice things and be very proactive in how you respond to things. Do you understand? Not that somebody that's not supposed to be there is there, then you are in the middle of makeup, maybe you've already spent over an hour and you only have 30 minutes to the end. Then something happens, then she cries, then they have to start the makeup all over again. Then that sets you back by like another 1 hour or something like that. Like, managing all of those things does go a long way. Even as simple as sometimes we managing, say, something as simple as, say, beforehand, so maybe in booking rooms. I can imagine like an example, for instance, that's coming to mind is there's this hotel in Lagos Oriental, for brides that are dressing up, that will have their, what's it called, that will have their bridal party coming to dress up with them. They tend to always want to go for the hotel, and it's because they have really large room. Like, their rooms, they have rooms that are very big, that is almost like apartments, such that it's possible for the bride to do her thing while our bridal parties with their whatever the people they bring with them can do their things without there being any disruption and all of that. Because you know, Nigerian parties these days, this person probably has a separate makeup artist from this person. This person wants to do this and all of that. Just shielding the bride basically for things that can destabilize or set off our energy. All of those things. That's why I say reading the room before it needs. Yeah, all of those things. Yeah. Um So another thing that I think is very key to mention here is the dress backward strategy, right? So because of how, like we said, wedding parts, the wedding industry has evolved so much now. You can find on a wedding day, the bride probably has to wear two, three, four, five, six, seven outfit, depending on how dramatic or how interesting your bride is. Of course, sometimes it's not because they want to wear so much clothes. There's just probably a lot of like cultural contest. Maybe the bride is from Urobo or Igbo, for instance. Yeah, Igbo. I think Igbo. Yes, Igbo, for instance. They have two outfits. They have a maiden outfit. Then they have their um actual outfit they're supposed to wear for weddings. Then maybe the husband is from another tribe again, and maybe they also have like multiple layer of outfits, right? So that's already two outfits. That's already like three or four outfits just for that. Then maybe when the session starts, he wants to wear another clothes. Then there's after party. By the time you count, that's already a lot of clothes, right? So just to make it easy, and for a scenario like that, you obviously already means that the couple are going to have a very full and busy day. And if care is not taken, you might just find that everything is done and you probably don't have proper pictures documented of them. So the idea that in between when they are transitioning into their outfit, you'll be able to snap and record do videos of them in their outfit. It's not a great idea, because once they step out of their hotel and get to like the venue and the event starts, a lot of things are out of your control. At that point, you are literally just managing things as much as possible. So it's just best to do the dress backwards strategy, right? So they dress from, like, say, maybe let's imagine maybe they are wearing three outfits, for instance. So as to ensure that the outfits are captured, they can start with the third outfit, which is the last outfit they'll be wearing much later in the day. Then do the second outfit. Then afterwards, then afterwards they do the first outfit, which they are going to be stepping out in. And then what's it called? Things that are needed for this outfit can also be very different. Some outfits might require hairstyling, some outfits might require gele, some don't. Do you understand? Some probably require some kind of headgear, like Edo, for instance. Now, this particular way their hair has to be styled. So all of those dynamics as well, it kind of comes into play in how you do the whole dress backwards strategy planning and all of that, right? But the point is, on like, let's just say, on an ordinary note, right? The basic principle is they should dress backwards, start from the last outfit to the first. Then you can tweak in between based on maybe what is needed to make each outfit work in that sense. Yeah. So that is that. So the other thing, right? Okay, so I think I already mentioned that. So one very important thing that you need to know if you're working as a bridal assistant, or you're working in any part of the industry, maybe you're an event planner or you are even a coordinator, is communication is your friend. And you have to, when you can say the communication is complete, the person you are talking to, you give information, the person you are talking to will acknowledge receipt of it and that they are clear, that kind of stuff, right? Especially when you're communicating with maybe couples, you cannot assume that they've heard what you said. You have to, thank God, I guess that's why we have meetings. You say it, you go over it again, closer to the event and all of those things, right? So, and there are quite a number of tools that can help to do this, right? Like quite a number of them were mentioned in the bridal assistant playbook that was released, right? So from something like from the couple itinerary, like I said, couple itinerary is going to give you an idea of where the couple are expected to be at every point in time and who is expected to be with them. So photography knows that, okay, somebody needs to be with the bride at so time, somebody needs to be with the groom at so time, somebody this and makeup artist, you know where you're supposed to be at every point in time. If you're a gele artist, you know where you need to be. Hairstylist, like, it gives a good idea of what is happening when and where you're expected to be. Of course, does not mean that timeline and all of those things might not shift. It might shift. But to a large extent, say a makeup artist will tell you, for instance, now I need 2 hours to do the makeup. So you have a good sense of that, right? Or a gele artist will be, I need 20 minutes or I need 30 minutes to tie the gele. Hairstylist can be, I need an hour and all of those things. So everybody just knows that you have an idea of the sequence of how things are happening. And this document is prepared after you've had some kind of conversation, of course, with the bride, the vendors. Like, you fact check based on feedback you have from vendors, you compare, make sure that it's perfectly fine with the bride, except in the case where maybe the bride is not hands-on, right? She just wants to show up that day and just be taken care of. But for brides that are hands-on, that they're hands-on, right? So you find out the details. Once you get the details, you communicate with them that this is how you're thinking about it. Then, based off on the final feedback and all of that, right? Then you do your itinerary, and then you can share with all parties involved and all of that, right? So outfit and accessory record is something else I think is also very important. So if you are privileged to interact with, in the case where maybe the bridal assistant interacts with the bride before the day of the event, right? So basic details about, like, okay, this is how, and this is what goes with what will have been shared. So be like, okay, I'm wearing 3 outfits. The red looks goes with these shoes. These are the shoes that goes with the red shoe. The red outfit. These are the accessories that go with the red outfit. Blah blah blah. So you just make sure that everything is documented. And if there are more like sentimental things that the the bride would like you to note, those are like times that you make sure that they are captured and all of that. Of course, you have what's it called, when maybe you have to leave the venue, you have boxes where things are packed in groups and all of those things. And also the reason why you also need to document this beyond just for when she's dressing up is also for to ensure that this is to help make sure that the work of the media team is easy, because they are also expected to document the looks before the couple wears them. So it's to ensure that, okay, by the time they're documenting, everything is properly captured and all of those things, and we don't lose things. And also another thing as bride assistants also to ensure that of course, as they do transitioning in between things, outfits from one outfit to the other outfit and all of those things, you also keep track of things, make sure they don't lose things. Because that day, of all the things that I doing the bride is to be thinking about the fact that show me my clothes, my shoe, are they packed it and all of those things, because in the rush or the heat of the moment, that's like the last thing they're thinking about. So you are like the one that is responsible for making sure that as they transition into things, you are keeping stock, you are making sure that everything is well kept, and at the end of the day, you are able to account for where each things are, that kind of stuff, right? Yeah. So the emergency kits is another thing. So when we say emergency kits, things that are there are just like, okay, so things happen, like I said, of course. And what we have multiple like these days is we have instances now, unlike before, where um stylists or say the people making the outfits don't show up to dress people. Now we have cases where people making the outfit actually show up to dress people. At least if the arrangement you have with them covers it, they come on the day of the, they show up on the day of the event to dress the couple, the bride, as appropriate. Or in some cases, the bride even has like a full-blown stylist, right? That's responsible for coordinating with all of these people and all of that, right? So emergency kits, you have all the things you need. Could be as simple as, say, an airbrush. You have a carry-on bag that contains all of our essentials, right? When I say essentials, she's a lady, so you pack all of the essential things. Of course, maybe you have thread, you have maybe tampons or pads. I don't know. If she talks to you about that, in case she does not even talk to you about it, just to be on the safe side, right? So the fashion stylists are coming. They probably come with a steamer, so that's probably something you don't need to worry about. Power bank, cords, right? Mobile fans. Do you get all of those things? If they are cash, that's where you keep it. You are going to hold on to our phones. Do you understand? So just basic things. A change of slippers for her. If the slippers she wants to change to, you change your slippers, so in case maybe she's tired of her heels, you can just slip into something. Do you understand? You can even carry gum. Some brides like gum, or just Mentos, something they can just put in their mouth, right, in between food and all of that. Do you get all of those things? And of course, one key thing to mention is that the bridal assistant, you have to make sure that your couple do eat, because there's some couple that gets really overwhelmed and they forget to eat. Probably don't remember that the last time they ate was probably the day before, until when they remember that last time they ate was the day before after the event. So you check in on it. Do you need anything? You need water. Part of the things you should have is straw, because for the bride, for instance, because of her makeup, she might not be able to drink directly from a bottle. So it's straw that she can sip in. You have like lots of it, so that you just change and all of that. So check on, do you need water? If you cannot eat, can you drink water? Can you take a drink? Can you take cocktails, mocktail, whatever it is that is available? Just make sure that your couple is hydrated, regardless of what, because some couple might be like they don't want to eat, right? If maybe they are overly simulated, right, from excitement and all of that. Because human beings, we don't relate to this, we don't react to these things the same way. But these days, couples actually eat their wedding because they are like, after all the money that I've paid, there's no way I'm not eating at this party and all. And in which I think kind of like gave rise to the fact that in most parties these days now, event planner will make sure that after the party, they pack some food for the couple to take away. Because even if they did eat during the event, they could not have eaten to their satisfaction. Like, like like the guests would have, the guests that came to visit them, they would probably have eaten 3 4 5 portions and all of. And at the end of the day, some people's cases, they sponsor their wedding themselves, so after spending that money they should also get to enjoy some of it. And even if it's their parents that paid, even though it is still their money, so they should still get to enjoy some of it. So that amongst other things, so that's like information management angle, making sure that everything is organized and all of those things, right? Accessible records, what needs to happen per time. Of course, as the event planner, you should I say, as a bridal assistant, you should have your itinerary in your head, like you should know it like palm of your hands by by the day the event is starting, as at the time the event is starting, right? But in case you don't, you have it accessible on your phone. You can just quickly check, reference things, and all of that. Because you're human too, you might actually forget things, which is fine, right? And all of those things, even for checks, because sometimes for access management to the couple, of course, people can go and greet them and all of that, but also being able to read the room. Everybody is very good at that thing that you cannot just go and meet them now, or they are probably changing, they need some space, all of those things. So you'll be like, please ma, she's changing, you can't see her now. Or ma, please, she's like, you shall, now you manage, right? It's like I need some time to myself or something. You manage people, you stay outside and make sure that people don't actually get to them. So whatever it is they need for time and all of those things. And even in communicating with them, sometimes coordinators or the people that can be like, okay, I need to find out this. So you might just like, just ask, tell the bride assistant to confirm from her how she's thinking about that, or they can access her themselves, because at the end of the day, she's one that hired them. He or she, they hired them, so they can definitely ask them the information. At least, I'm assuming in this case that the couple hired these people, but also in case there are cases where it's either maybe the in-laws, it could just be anybody that hires you. The point is, know your direct what's it called, your direct line when it comes to like clearance for things, right? Because it varies, it's not always the same. Sometimes it's the couple, sometimes it's probably the bride's parents, sometimes it could be the groom's parents, sometimes it's probably one auntie. Just understand, at least by relating with them for like a few, even the bride typically will tell you, or whoever it is, like, you already have an idea of, say, who is the person that I always have to get clearance from, or the person that I have to make sure I manage the most, as their feedback can be quite impactful on how my work goes or otherwise. Do you understand? So all of those things are quite important. That's stakeholder management. So another thing that I think I probably want to mention here is another thing I think I want to mention here is that, okay, I think I already spoke to that, but this says that a room can only stay calm by design. I remember making reference to an example when I said that when I was saying that there's an hotel that I know of in Lagos that for brides or like couples that I know that they have like a large crowd. And when I say large crowd, they have like a large, say maybe bridal assistant, I mean, what's it called, bridesmaid team or groomsmen. They tend to always they tend to always lodge in these hotels because they have quite a number of people. It's better to have a space that is not cramped so that the energy can be easier to manage. Do you understand? If you're staying in a place that is like maybe like a two-bed, like almost like a duplex, people can be doing their different things. So funny energies don't get to you and all of those things, right? So imagine, for instance, now if like whilst you are deliberating about things and all of that, if maybe you build some good measure of trust with your bride or the couple, that you are able to actually give feedback and advice on things. Because I'll be like, okay, where are you guys going to be lodging for this? They're like, I want them. Like, okay, based on information that you have given to me, I think this place might be a bit tight, or rather, we're going to use this place. We need to make more provision. At least you're able to give like feedback from a professional point of view, based on what you think will be more appropriate and all of that, right? That kind of stuff. Um, so a number of things that I think might be good, like putting some of these things into particular, maybe like, what are all these things called, what is this, what is that, and all of that. So typically, like in project management, PMI, we call some terms, there's some particular terms that we use to like define things more holistically. Like I spoke to at the beginning of the engagement, things that you need to be clear is scope definition. So you need to be sure that as you're being hired, what exactly are you being hired for? Are you being hired as a bridal assistant? Are you being hired as, say, maybe a coordinator? You're being hired as a planner? Like, you need that scope to be cleared. Do you understand? it's not assumed that okay, so you're the wedding planner, you're also the one that's responsible for you're not responsible for being a bridal assistant, but you can assign someone as you know that it's going to be a need. If especially if they don't have maybe bridal, they don't have like a bridal party that is very hands-on. Because these days, actually, in bridesmaids, in the bridesmaids' defense, not to diss them or anything, people spend a lot these days to be a part of your bridesmaid team or even your groomsmen team. So it kind of makes sense that they also want to show up that day and do look good. Because can you imagine if you spend like hundreds of thousands from buying the ashwebi or doing planning the bridal parties or whatever party you have to plan for your friends, you understand, to sewing with another, like spending all of that money, then your makeup and all, only for you to show up that day. Of course, you can run around, but it's also be nice for you not to miss major moments. Like I have an example that I can share. It happened to someone that's very close to me, but let me not mention her name. She was the chief bridesmaid for a friend, for one of our closest friends' wedding, right? Involved in like the whole planning and all of that. But because there was no also provision for like a bridal assistant that could help to lift some of like this extra weight, she ended up like by the time the wedding was done, we saw a lot of like content, we saw a lot of like pictures, a lot of like pictures maybe with other people that were part of the bridesmaids team and all of that. She was not there. So eventually, in capturing all of the details, well, like after all the money that you spent, all the stress and all, then when they are looking back, there's nothing to actually document that you were in that moment, so because you probably had to run to go and get this, because you had to do so many things. So it's in a bit to help make sure that, because especially for brides, they'll be like, I want you on my trip because I want you to be in my picture. All those things. So if they are being in your picture in that moment, who is doing the other other plenty little things that need to be sorted? Somebody has to be responsible for it. So that's kind of like what gave birth to this role, actually, right? Then the risk assessment part is things that like from having conversations with your couple based on what they planned and how you're able to see possible places that might be loopholes that if not properly planned for. Because when they mention something, I'll be like, okay, so these are thinking about it, but have you thought about it this way? If this does it, so that way you're able to like assess and find out what the possible risks are, right? Things that might come up. And if it comes up, that way you have like an idea of like a risk register. So and if they come up, what are like first responses that the couple will probably prefer? Of course, there are things that you can be proactive about and all of those things, but sometimes the couple might imagine if you're new, maybe it's like a stakeholder management thing. So maybe the couple are like, maybe the bride or whoever is like, okay, there's particular maybe a particular stakeholder member of the family that is maybe a bit problematic and all of that. Giving you heads up about that means that that day, once you see the person, after she greets the person is coming maybe much later, saying that maybe we're supposed to be having a private moment, saying that I want to see her. You already know that possible risk that we identified. Because I remember a wedding that I did a while, it's been really long now in the early days. Something was happening. Instead of communicating directly to us, I think I'm not sure, maybe it was the mom or someone, it was a member of the bride's family, just went to tell her. The bride just started crying just before she was supposed to enter into the reception. She just started crying. Oh my god! It was much she was like, it was much later that we don't realize that okay, this person can be very wonderful when it comes to managing things. And what she was even raising was not something that could not have been managed. It was something very flippant and silly. At the end of the day, she just started crying. Oh, we literally had to do makeup again. Like, do you understand? I'm just like, you already know like with this person is a risk. As person is coming, you cannot see her, you're a potential risk. You just manage like, you will see her later. Oh ma, she's clinical. You just use sense. You use Nigerian sense now and manage and all of those things. So that's just on like a lighter note and all of that. And then information, like I said, knowing who to talk to at every point in time. This is going on. I know when to like ask maybe the wedding planner that okay, this is what is going on, or even the coordinator for the day. So all of that amongst other things, right? So I think with all of this, we have come to the end of this our talk. At least this has been like a summary. It didn't speak to everything that was the role of the bridal assistant is potentially, but it was the session has been a good summary actually. And like I believe we've been sharing the slides on the channel, so if you join you can see the slides. If you would like to have access to it subsequently, we are more than willing to share with you. And if you have any questions, you can share them here, or you can send it to us subsequently via DM or something, and we're more than willing to help out providing answers, at least contests based on the things that we know, we've seen and experienced in the industry, up onto now best practices and all of that, right? So if you have any questions, now is a good time to share, right? About wedding day support, bridal assistance, even event planning generally, or the playbook, right? I think I should mention, now is a good time to mention that I have a book. The title of the book is The Bridal Assistant Playbook, right? It's a three-part book. So it's like a playbook that helps you get anybody that is maybe interested in being a bridal assistant, or you're a wedding planner, or you are in the event where you're like, okay, I want to understand more about maybe what this role is about, right? If you're trying to do maybe like proper you can get the book, or if you're a bride and you're like, okay, they're saying this, you don't actually need it and all of that, you can check out the book and all of that, right? I think details about that is also on the channel. It's part of the slides and all of that. So, um, like I said, it's a three-part book. So volume one to volume two. Volume one to volume three. So volume one is like the foundation, speaks to why there's even the need, how the rule was battered and all of those things. Then volume two speaks about like the framework. So what are the things you do as a bridal assistant in that sense, right? Then volume three is the playbook. That is not how it is. It will be released in the coming months and all of that. But volume one and two are available now for digital. Sorry about that, my network. So details about that will be shared through the slides and all. But like I said, if you have questions, you can just reach out to and we'll speak to it and all of that. We also have resources for further studies that you can check out. It's on one of the slides as well that was shared. You can check it out. And what else? Yeah, I think with that, we have come to the end of this webinar. Thank you for being here. Really appreciate you. If you have questions, you can drop it in the comment section. If you're part of the channel, you can just drop your questions there, right? And like I said, just a few minutes ago, if you would like to have access to the slides, or you have questions that come up subsequently, you can just share with us on the channel, okay? If after this live and all of that. Thank you so much for being here. I remain your host once again. My name is Omobunike Oyewale. Thank you. Enjoy the rest of your evening. Bye, everyone.